In the years that followed, the Navajo language that the US government tried to stamp out would come to play a big part in helping them. All armies use codes during wartime, and the US military is no different. They need codes that cannot be broken or understood by other armies. A language that was mostly unknown outside the Navajo Nation proved to be perfect. The US Army had first used the Native American languages in World War I, which was fought from 1914 to 1918. Great Britain, France, Russia, and other nations battled Germany and its allies, Austria-Hungary, Bulgaria, and other countries. The United States joined the war in 1917. Incredibly, even though the United States had treated Native Americans miserably for decades, more than 12,000 Native Americans fought in World War I. At that time, Native Americans were not even citizens of the United States, but they still wanted to do their part in the fight. The US Army hired Choctaw speakers to use radios and to write messages in their native language. Other Native Americans, including Comanche, Oneida, and St. Anne took part in battles in Europe by sending and receiving messages. Because these languages were specific to each tribal nation, no outsiders knew how to speak or understand them, including the US Army. The Native American speakers were trusted to pass along messages among other men of their own nations. Germany and its allies didn't have soldiers who spoke those languages, so the messages remained secret. In 1939, World War II began in Europe. As they had in World War I, the Navajo and other Native Americans were ready to fight. The Navajo government said, "We resolve that the Navajo Indians stand ready as they did in 1918 to aid and defend our government and constitution against all armed conflicts." In early 1942, a man named Philip Johnston read about the use of Native American languages during World War I. Johnston was one of the few non-Navajo people who could speak the Navajo language. He had grown up in the Navajo Nation in Arizona, where his parents were missionaries. Johnston wrote to the US Marines suggesting that the Navajo language could be in the basis for an unbreakable code. On February 28, 1942, Johnston arranged the test to show the Marines how the Navajo language might be used as a code. 4 Navajo speakers were measured against 4 Marine messengers. Using radios, the Navajo speakers accurately sent a test message translated from English into Navajo in 20 seconds. The other messengers took half an hour using the code already in use by the Marines. Major General Clayton Fauquier ordered Johnston to find Navajo men to train for this new mission. World War II. In 1939, German armed forces invaded Poland. England and France joined with other European countries to fight against Germany's advances. At the same time, in the Pacific, the Empire of Japan began its own invasive attacks on nearby countries and islands. On December 7, 1941, Japanese planes flew across the Pacific Ocean and bombed U.S. Navy ships at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The next day, the United States and Japan were at war. The United States soon joined the war in Europe against Germany as well. More than 40 countries made up the allies that fought Germany, Italy, and Japan. Battles took place across Europe, in North Africa, and in Asia, and on many Pacific islands. Together, all these conflicts were called World War II. The Allies won the war when Germany surrendered on May 7, 1945, following the death of its leader, Adolf Hitler. Japan surrendered on September 2nd after the United States dropped 2 deadly atomic bombs on 2 of Japan's major cities. Chapter 2: Marine Boot Camp. In April 1942, Philip Johnston returned to the Navajo lands where he had once lived. Because of a lack of support from the U.S. government, life there had become very difficult. The American states that controlled the Navajo lands did not provide enough electricity or telephone lines for the Navajo, and they did a poor job running the school systems there. When Johnston called for volunteers, more than 200 Navajo men showed up. Joining the Marines looked like an opportunity to improve their situation. It was a good job. Being a Marine could also be dangerous work, but the Navajo men believed that they came from a long line of warriors and they were ready to fight. Samuel J. Smith remembered that old men with bows and arrows came to the trading post and wanted to go to war and fight the Japanese and save their land. I had the same idea. I wanted to save my land. Without telling them what their job would be, Johnston chose 29 men who spoke both English and Navajo well. One of the young Navajo volunteers, like Jesse, was Chester Ness. He had grown up tending sheep with his family. In 1934, he had been sent away to a junior high school at Fort Defiance, Arizona, which had once actually been Navajo land. At the school, the teachers tried to train the Navajo not to speak their native language or to follow their customs. They forced them to speak only English. At the school, Chester first learned his birthday was in January 1921.